The EXP lane isn't about surviving. It's about breaking your opponent. In this guide, I'll show you the macro and micro mechanics that let you completely dominate the EXP lane. What makes this guide special? We don't start in lane, we start from the draft, then move step by step all the way into the late game. The drafting phase is when you ban and pick heroes based on your team and enemy's composition. But how do you know which EXP hero to pick? EXP heroes can be divided into 3 different archetypes. Damage or executioner-style EXP laners, like Argus, Paquito, or Benedetta, mainly focus on killing and removing key enemy targets. These heroes have sufficient damage to play in the long lane and manage minions to split push in the late game. However, these heroes are high-risk, low durability. They can only stay in teamfights for short windows and rely heavily on timing, positioning, and mechanical precision. Tank or sandbag-type EXP laners, like Hylos, Gatotkacha, and Hilda, lack in terms of damage. However, they make it up through their tankiness. These heroes are designed to soak pressure and face-check bushes. Their value doesn't come from kills, but from vision control, frontline presence, and enabling teammates to play more aggressively. Finally, we have sustain or hybrid-type EXP laners, which are the most flexible type of EXP laners. The heroes in this category are like Yu Zhong, Lapu Lapu, and Terizla, which are often picked in MPL matches due to their versatility. Their main purpose are to stay long and soak pressure during teamfights. They absorb damage, control space, and most importantly, harass the enemy core and backline heroes, preventing them from securing any objectives. Now, choosing the type of EXP lane hero depends on your team's composition. As the EXP laner, it is your job to fill in the gaps in your team. When your team lacks tankiness, for example, in a team comp with a support roam and an assassin jungler, you should opt for tank-type EXP laners to soak up damage. When your team already has tanky heroes but lacks damage, you should opt for damage-type EXP laners to focus more on target-locking the enemies. Hybrid-type EXP laners are flexible. They're often chosen when the team comp already has sufficient tankiness, but you require more CC skills and sustain to bait out the enemy's skills and dive into the backline. Easy, isn't it? Don't overthink it. Let's move on to the early game. Your main goal during the early game is to gain an EXP advantage against your enemy. To achieve this, you can apply some valuable mechanics. For example, at the start of the game, you don't need to rotate and move around the map as an EXP laner, so don't buy boots. Instead, buy Dagger for an additional 15 physical attack and prioritize Fury Hammer afterwards. However, if you are a sustain EXP laner, like Thamuz or Barats, buy the physical defense or magical defense items instead for a plus 18 physical defense and plus 18 magical defense, depending on the enemy's type of damage. Some of you may not be convinced that buying Dagger as the first item makes much difference, but here's a side-by-side comparison using Yu Zhong. When using a single attack, Yu Zhong deals an extra 41 damage with Dagger. Seems little, right? Now, let's compare using the first skill plus third skill combo and Petrify followed by 3 basic attacks. Without Dagger, Yu Zhong deals 2,470 damage. And with Dagger, he deals 2,640 damage. That's a 130 damage difference, which may determine whether you live or die in high-rank 1v1 scenarios. Another important mechanic to apply in the early game is lane cutting. Lane cutting is when you kill the enemy minion herd before they reach your lane, so you gain an early EXP advantage against your enemy. Lane cutting can be typically done at 3 different locations. A low cut is when you cut in between the Tier 1 and Tier 2 turrets, while a high cut is when you cut in between the Tier 2 and inhibitor turrets. A German or a supercut is done within the enemy base, which is very risky. However, you get to cut the minions of all 3 lanes at the same time. But don't do this in the early game, as it denies your teammates their gold. Cutting lanes allows you to gain EXP faster and use the extra time you have to rotate and help out your other teammates. Here, for example, I have reached level 2, while enemy Sun is still stuck at level 1, and I can freely rotate to help contest the Litho Wanderer. To time your lane cut effectively, you should rely on your own minions, as they are always a mirror image of the enemy's minion location. Also, take note that the minion waves spawn every 11th and 41st second. Don't force a lane cut if you have a disadvantage against your enemy, as it's not worth the risk. Hence, it is important to understand your hero's lane strength and lane clearing capabilities. Lane freezing is when you freeze the minion herd to stay in a specific area for your benefit. When you are winning, you should zone out the enemy and freeze your minions. The enemy would have no choice but to remain within their turret range. Here, for instance, I have an upper edge against Themus and am able to zone him, forcing him to stay within his turret range. Now, Themus can't get anything out of my minions. As long as you are near the enemy minions, you would gain EXP and gold. So, don't attack the minions. Instead, let them slowly kill each other. This way, you will gain gold and EXP while the enemy gets absolutely nothing. However, when you are losing in the lane, you do not want to be far away from your turret. What you need is for the minions to be close to you. All you have to do is stall the last minion just before it enters your turret. As a result, the next enemy minion wave would come nearer to your turret, giving you an upper edge as the enemy needs to overextend in order to benefit from your minions. The first turtle always spawns on the side of the EXP lane at the 2-minute mark of the game. You will usually be at level 3 at the 2-minute mark, and a minion wave will arrive at 2:02. So fast clear the minion wave to secure level 4 and participate in the turtle fight. What you do next highly depends on your jungler. If the jungler signals to retreat, then you and your team should not contest the turtle at all. However, if your team decides to contest the turtle, your job is to provide vision for your team around the turtle pit by checking surrounding bushes and zoning the enemies away, especially their jungler. Unless you are absolutely sure that there are no enemies around, there is no need for you to be attacking the turtle yourself. In the late game, the EXP hero becomes the main wave manager of the team. It's your job to clear lanes and start slow pushes when your teammates are busy elsewhere. A slow push is when the minions on your side form a large herd that slowly push towards the enemy's base, forcing the enemy to return to their lane and clear it. A slow push can be started as such. Don't kill all the enemy minions. Instead, lower their HP slightly to give your minion herd an advantage. As more waves spawn, a slow push will automatically be formed. As late-game teamfights proceed, you should carry out your specific roles. If you're a tank-type EXP laner, face-check bushes and initiate pickoffs. If you're a damage-type EXP laner, target lock enemies and start split pushes. If you're a hybrid-type EXP laner, keep poking the enemy backline and make their life a living hell.